Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to make post request routes and really post, probably only post, but yeah. And we'll also be able to test like if it works or not bad. Yeah, we'll be using an online tool. I'll leave the link to the website in the description, called requestbin.com, and you'll also need this because we're gonna be making requests to like localhost stuff, so be sure to get this too. I'll leave links to both of these, the website and the extension, in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into the code. So first of all, before we start making the route, we have to import something called request, and we don't have to install any other modules like the other imports we did, except the error import. It's all inside that Flask. So to make a route, it's still at app.route, and you can specify the path, and I can also make it on slash, because this is going to be a different type of request. Like, I can't have two get requests on slash. Remember, like if I just do this, it's automatically a get request. But I can actually have two, like I can put all my requests on slash. Like I can just do that and then methods equals post. So not like all my requests, but I can have one method, like per path, I can have one method. I mean, that's a bad way to explain it. Every path I have, you can add any method on it, and I can have like different methods on the same path and it would still work, but I have to have different methods. If I have the same method, as you see later on in this video after we finish the request, it's not gonna work. But you feel free to change it and make like anything. You can make it that, you can make it that, you can make it that, and then you can actually add another slash. Haven't told you that yet, but it actually works. That. But for now, we're just going to leave it at slash, and then define a function, and you can name the function anything, as long as none of the route's function names, like none of them are the same. So I can't name this home route because it's going to give me an error, so I'm just going to name it post route, and it takes in no params or parameters. So the way to get like all the body data and all that, in this video, we're only probably gonna look at like how to get like body data and JSON data. You're most likely gonna send JSON data, maybe a couple things in the header. I'm not sure what you're using for, but we're gonna look at JSON data and maybe header data. So first of all, we need to fetch the JSON data. So let's say we're trying to make an authentication system and our front end can send post requests. So let's just say username equals request.json. So we're doing .json because if I go back to the browser, the way I'm going to send the request will be through content, and the content will be application/JSON. So I'll send it through JSON. That's why I have to do .json. And then it's just like a dictionary. So if you've ever worked with JSON before, you know that you can it's like JSON file is literally just like a dictionary but in a file. So it acts just like a dictionary. So you can just put quotes there and access what we want. In this case, we'll just leave it username, and we can just copy the same thing for password. To multi-cursor on VS Code and Sublime Text, it's Control D, but you gotta copy. You have to highlight something first, and password. And now we can just put like some if statements. If username not equal I guess user, and we'll just return error. And I'm gonna copy this for password too. Password. And we can also return error. And if both of these succeed, we'll return success. Return. So whenever you return, it actually just exits the function. So basically, I'm just getting the username and checking if the username is not equal to. If it's not equal to user, that means they got the username incorrect. Because we want the username to be user and the password to be pass. So we just return them, and when we return them, from here on, it just exits the function and it never comes back to it. Even if I rerun it, it's not gonna start running from here. It's gonna start running up here, up top. Yeah. So I'm just returning if name is not equal to user, and I'm getting the password, and then I am checking for password not equal to pass, and if it is, again, we're going to send an error back because we want the password to be equal to pass, or the password should be equal to pass. And then, as I said again, if it returns if the function returns anything, it just exits out the function, and it's like a rerun. I mean, it doesn't run anything else. It's not like a continue or a pass statement. So that's why if we're not putting any conditionals in like the return success, we don't need to, because if there's an error, it's just gonna exit out of the function to return. That's enough explaining for now. We can test it out. I'm actually just gonna save a file right there. So now I want to send the username, so we'll send the username and it should equal. And we also want to send the password. By the way, everything in JSON is in quotes, except the colons and the commas. We want that to pass. And this up here is the URL we're sending it to, and this is all the types of requests you can make. For now, we're just going to make a post. And as you can see in the code, we made it a // request, so just a home kind of route. So we just on like where it says URL, we just leave it as /. Now you can see it's gonna return success, but if I just change it up, it's gonna return error, and if I make the incorrect and password incorrect, then it's gonna also return error. And if I make them both, if they're both correct, it returns success. Now, as you can see, it didn't return. Like if I go on to get request, this is actually what you get, and it didn't actually send this JSON because it only posts stuff like this when it's a post request. If it's a get request, it would don't post this. And even if we go back, as you can see, the route still works. It's not giving us any errors. As you can see, the browser, if you didn't know this, in fact, the browser actually just, when you go onto URL, the browser actually just gets all this HTML code, and it converts all this HTML into a visual UI that you can see properly, because it would just be annoying and hard. It would just be honestly annoying, and it wouldn't look good if we just displayed like code like this, plain code like this onto screens. Half the people wouldn't even understand it. So yeah, that's just a fun fact. Nothing had to relate to Flask. So as you can see, we grab the username. Go back to the code. We grab the username by doing this. We checked if it's not equal to user. If it was not, we returned an error because we want it equal to user. Did the same thing with the password. except we want it to be equal to pass. So if it's not equal to pass, it will return error. Else, everything would go through and it would reach this line of code, and then it's just going to return success. So it was pretty simple, but you could actually do a lot with this data. Like for example, I can make a post request where, if you know MongoDB and how to use it with Python, I can make a post request where like you send a request to that URL and you pass it in some JSON, like a name, and then it can make a new document inside the MongoDB collection. And that's actually what I use, that's what I use in some of my projects. Like in the chat app I made, I used the RESTful API, and it's basically this, but with way more routes. And yeah, so just created a new user in MongoDB and sent it, made a new document for it inside a collection. But I used another framework in Node.js. Don't know if you guys know it, but it's called Express.js. I always use that for all my APIs, but Flask is also pretty good. I use it for a couple web services. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.